Our discussion topic this week is a fall TV premieres reviews things. These are I picked three, Corey picked three. There should be limited talking about each other's things because out of his, I've only seen one, and he said that he's only seen one out of mine. So there's those. So I'm gonna go first, and I'm gonna talk about the show that was the reason why, well, one of the reasons why we didn't record yesterday, and that is This Is Us. And This Is Us airs on NBC and has a big product promotion placement thing with TJ Maxx. They let you know after every first commercial break. Which is fine, not complaining, just pointing it out there. But the first episode of This Is Us I watched and I enjoyed. This is essentially the Parenthood replacement. If you were like me and Corey and you enjoyed, well, I know I enjoyed, I think Corey enjoyed
I never
Parenthood.
watched it. I
Oh,
could
I thought you did.
I tried watching the first episode. I know you and Glenn were really into it,
Yeah.
and the first episode was a huge turnoff for whatever reason. I realized it wasn't something I was going to be into, and so I just didn't go back to it.
Yeah. Okay, so like me and Glenn, if you really liked Parenthood, and you were sad that they had their series finale, this is a really good replacement. The basic premise of it, and what I feel like what sold the show was you are following people who were all born on the same day. And so I'm sitting here thinking, okay, these are, three, four different groups of people, and no, it's all one family. That was the first thing. Then I'm like, wait a minute, because the pilot, where they show you Milo Ventimiglia and Mandy Moore's characters, I'm like, okay, they're in modern times, sort of deal. And then I'm like, wait a minute, this guy is talking about his his twins or his triplets and how he lost one too, and us the doctor who delivers the Mandy Moore's babies. And wait, is this time travel? And I'm like, oh wait, I actually went on the Wikipedia as I was watching the second episode, and I'm like, no, this is the parents, and you're looking at the sons or the kids as their adults. It's it's got this interesting thing of that I like, where the last little bit they hit you with something to then want to wait for the next episode. So like this one, it was they're so and so, like they're the three kids that you then realize are the brothers and sister that we're also following, and you're like, wait, time travel? Wait, huh? Is this sci-fi? Did I get onto something else? And then you're like, oh no, it's just regular. And then what happened to the dad? Because here's Mandy Moore in old person makeup with the dad's partner, like former like work partner. What's going on here? But I love this. There's these nice four stories that are being told and intertwining at the same time. And it is a Parenthood replacement, and that's what I love. It's filling that hole.
Now, should we be concerned though that it's a replacement for a show that didn't have very high numbers and viewership, and they took away from the people who are already enjoying it and then plug in something that is of a similar feel?
It's of a similar feel, but it's of a better feel too, because where
shots fired.
Well, not yet. Where Parenthood, and I love Parenthood. Don't get me wrong. Parenthood was all about this one family. You're following this family throughout their life as they're, living in, I think, what was it, Oakland, California, or, just outside of Berkeley, actually. I remember the town. You start going through with This Is Us, and it's the past and then the future, and in the second episode with the Milo Ventimiglia and Mandy Moore story, they were hitting on the fact that, well, the one son is adopted, and it's clearly adopted because he's black, and they're a white family, and so he gets called at school, he gets called Webster, and you see this divide with the brothers because of this, because they're like, the boys are making fun of him, and the other son does not stick up for his brother. It's just like, well, what are you gonna do? Boys are gonna be boys, and just goes walking off with his friends. He doesn't say anything in support of them, but he doesn't say anything against them either. And it's it has there's more here than what Parenthood had. Just because of this whole dual time, well, not dual timelines, but two separate moments in time that are taking place. You have this with the past, with the parents when they were their kids' age in the present, and then you have the kids in the present going about, the adoptive son meets his dad, or actually finds his birth father. The biological son, he's a famous actor on a sitcom, but is wanting to do more. And then the daughter has weight issues and is trying to find love, but also trying to love herself while losing weight and being a bigger girl in Los, well, in the world, but yeah, in LA. And it's just this really I love the story, and I compare it to Parenthood because it's the easiest comparison to make.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that I know I'm being a little bit facetious by saying, oh, well, they're taking the show that they just canceled and putting in something that's just like it. But it's just like Marvel relaunching a series with a new number one. It's a jumping on point. It's maybe there was something about Parenthood you didn't like. Maybe you didn't like the fact of a certain actor or actresses on there, or maybe you didn't like the fact that it was based around a movie and a previous TV series that were already done. Or maybe just in general, you don't have parents. You're like, oh, I don't want to watch something called Parenthood. I don't know. You could have come from a tube. That's fine. But so we flip and we start again. That's what happens.
Yep. So Corey, your first TV show, which one do you want to talk about here?
We'll start off with Speechless. Speechless was and I know that you saw this too.
Yep.
Speechless is in the ABC Family kind of feel of shows, those sitcoms that they do. It's following up the Goldbergs before Modern Family and Blackish. And it stars Minnie Driver and quite a few people in this that were actually really good. The guy who plays
David Ross Bowie.
Yeah, who we've seen on The Big Bang Theory, but in a ton of stuff. If you go way back, I unfortunately can't think of anybody's names. I know that
Cedric Yarbaugh is the carer who's also the school janitor, or
right. He was from Reno 911.
Yep.
And the woman who played Alan's wife on 2.5 Men, the first wife, the mother of Jake, is the principal of the school on this. I also saw one of the guys from Broken Lizard in here as, I think, the gym coach.
Oh, yeah. Jay
Chattanooga. Yeah, we'll just go with it. See, this is why I didn't worry about knowing the names, because I just let you take this one. So Speechless is basically about a family. One of their sons has disability. He is in a wheelchair. He cannot speak. And amazingly, for this day and age, where we often just throw people into roles where it's almost unbelievable that we're supposed to accept that this character is played by a person who is nothing like them. They got somebody who I believe actually it has the same disabilities to be the character on the show and to essentially be one of the stars of the show. Like there's no like, oh, he's just somewhere in the background. We all know that he's there, but it's not really a show about him. It's a show about him as much as it is about anybody else. But he's got a younger brother and sister who, unfortunately, the parents, especially the mother, played by Minnie Driver, are so focused on giving this son the most fulfilling life possible and give him all the advantages they can to make up for the obvious disadvantages that he would have going to most schools, living in most neighborhoods and everything else like that. They've made it kind of the mission of the family is that the second son, the middle child, of course, middle child syndrome, feels like he's had to give up any kind of normalcy that he might have in the quest for normalcy for his brother. And what I like about it is that the brother doesn't really keep from picking on him. He doesn't like say, "Oh, I'm so sorry that all this stuff is happening for me." He gives him the same kind of shit that you would to your siblings. It's the characterization on this is actually pretty solid. I think the most over the top character is honestly the mom, and that's because she's the one who's so driven. It seems like there's a lot of very driven mothers on ABC. That seems to be a common theme, which is not bad, but it is starting to get maybe a little bit like we need to find a little bit more variety coming up. ABC, think about it. But in this case, she finds a new school. They move to a new home that is basically a ramshackled house that is not very good, but they're making these accommodations and stuff to go to a school to be in a better community. But she's sort of gotten them. She's slammed a lot of doors in places where they've been at before, where she's got a reputation when she comes in here. She starts out at the school and immediately is bitching to the principal about the fact that the only ramp into the school for her son is where they take the garbage and stuff out in the back. And yeah, of course. I mean, how is this person supposed to feel normal if he's always got to go around to an entrance that no other student uses? So it's not outlandish in the things that she's fighting for or fighting against in this case, but it is outlandish in the fact that she's just so over the top and she's missing the lives of her other kids and how it's disrupting them. It's a really sweet show, but it's also, and I was worried about this, is whether or not it was going to be a very funny show. And Erin, my wife, and I watched it, and we laughed a lot. We laughed probably more than we laugh at most of the shows. Certainly, Modern Family's getting a little long in the tooth now. I don't know if it's been written as well for the last couple of seasons. But
yeah, I'm starting to notice that with Modern Family myself.
Yeah. I mean, The Goldbergs is still killing it, but The Goldbergs is still relatively a young show compared to things like Modern Family in the middle, which have been around for a long time and maybe have lost a little bit of their luster. This was really good. We watched, what's the one with the mother from Raising Hope?
Oh, The Real O'Neills.
The Real O'Neills. We watched The Real O'Neills last season. We liked it. I think that there's a lot of good there, but I don't know that it struck me as funny as this one does. Also, Fresh Off the Boat. I love the parents on that. I don't really connect with the kids at all on it, so it's not been one that I've stuck around with. Blackish, I'm kind of back and forth on. I think it's funny when I watch it. I watched the season premiere, and I didn't really take to the whole Disneyland thing. It's just like another Disneyland ad. But this was really solid. I mean, we've only seen the first episode so far, but
second one made me laugh more.
Good. That's good. I really hope this show does well.
Yeah, no, I honestly think it will. I wouldn't be surprised if out of the new, now I'm phrasing it this way, the new shows, if this is the first one from ABC to get renewed, because the second episode, like the first episode, to me, it suffers from watching the second episode, suffered a little bit from pilotitis,
Of course,
but
absolutely.
it was still funny. The second episode, there are moments in here where I'm just like, all right, this is funny. This is good. Um, to give one away, there's a moment where uh, I'm blanking on his name, but Cedric Garbo's character, the carer, is with JJ, and he's like, so they're at the board that has all the different clubs. Like, so what are you into? What do you want to do? You do sports? You do, which there right there is funny enough. Do you do sports? He's in a wheelchair, sort of deal. And it's like, what do you look at? And he's got this laser pointer on his glasses that he uses to communicate with people, because he's got a board that sits on his wheelchair that has like all words and letters and stuff. And you just see him look over to the side and laser pointer on a girl's butt, goes to another girl's butt.
See, that's the thing, is that first of all, the whole thing of Cedric Yarborough's character becoming the voice for this kid is because he treats him with normalcy. He treats him like you would treat any other kid, which I think is great. But he's not dishonest. He's not like, oh, I'm going to treat you like everybody else, because they try to do that in the class. The class is like, oh, we're making you class president. He's like, you don't even know me. Why would you do that? I could be an axe murderer or something. You have no idea. He treats him normally, like he talks to him as a friend, as a person, and all that. But he doesn't ignore who he is at the same time. And I think that that's one of the joys of the show. And that's what I love about this kind of program, is that it's not like we had the Michael J. Fox show a couple years ago. And I didn't think the show was particularly funny, but I loved the idea of the show because it didn't make the show all about him dealing with Parkinson's disease.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it didn't ignore it and it didn't underplay it. It was just, this is a part of their lives. And dealing with this in your everyday life is a normal thing, but it's not all encompassing as to what their lives is about. I thought that was really good. I think that's something that it at best what TV can do is put things like this on the show, and it's not like, oh, well, they're just putting the token this or the token that in there. It's like, no, they're showing us a family. They're showing us people's lives, and there are things in people's lives that are maybe a little different from other people's lives, but we don't have to focus so much on the difference. We just focus on the people. And I think that's part of why I think this is great.
A really good comparison to this would be the Netflix movie The Fundamentals of Caring. Because it's a lot of the relationship that that Paul Rudd and the main boy, I cannot think of his name, but the kid that he's caring for have, except there's just this added barrier of the kid in here doesn't talk. On Speechless, he doesn't talk. Sort of deal. So yeah, it's great, and it's Wednesdays at 8:30 on ABC. So I'm gonna do another one. I switched it up a little bit to where I took out the pitch. It's the baseball show on Fox. It's good, but I just remembered another show, and I'm like, oh wait, that one was better. And this one is on NBC on Thursday nights, and it's called The Good Place. Now, the first episode was directed by Drew Goddard, and oh my gosh, this show's so funny. It's right up there with me. Like, I'm trying to decide which one's funnier, Speechless or The Good Place.
For me, Speechless was funnier. I like The Good Place. We've watched the first 3 episodes so far. And I think it's okay. I think that there's some very funny things about it. But you do your review, and I'll just interject.
So The Good Place, it stars Kristen Bell, Ted Danson, there's other people that
William
you'll
Jackson
see.
Harper is
Yeah,
Kristen Bell's main character, Eleanor, her what is supposed to be
soulmate.
her soulmate.
Yeah. There's and there's other people in here that you'll notice if you watch a lot of TV shows. But Kristen Bell, her character Eleanor, died and has gone to the good place. You have the good place and you have the bad place. And the thing I love about this show is within the first 5 minutes, they hit every religion. Like, because he's doing, Ted Danson's character is doing, Michael's doing this interview with her, like, so you died. It gives in comedic detail how she died. Like, so you were leaving a Target and your bags broke, and so you went down to pick up the fruit and you got hit by a thing of a thing of carts, just like a whole bunch of carts. But you got up from that, and then there was a bus, or it was something like that, like it escalated. I'm like,
It just
oh
kept
my,
going on and kept getting worse as it went
yeah,
along, and she's just like, "Oh, okay, maybe I don't need to know all about this."
yeah. Um, but and so as they continue on, and she starts to realize, it's with religions. She goes, like he gets done, and he's like, "So you got any questions?" And she goes, "So who got it right?" And then Ted Danson so eloquently put it, his character goes, "Well, every religion gets about 5% right. The only person to get it more right is this what is it, like Jeff from Canada,
Yeah,
who
something like that.
who got incredibly high one day and
Yeah,
got 91% accurate. Here's a
we're all
picture of
just like,
him."
"How the hell is he doing this?" And they've got a picture of him all, like he's famous up there.
Yes. it's but it's funny. I love this show, and it's part of it's because the fact that they swear but they don't swear. Like, they're all saying like fork and all that. Like, that's actually their advertising now, is what the fork.
Yeah, that's
And
kind of that's one of the things that I felt got old really fast.
it did, but like I think they mainly used it in the first 2 episodes, and the third episode don't think they relied a lot on it.
Yeah, so the conceit of the show is that she's died, she's gone up to this place, the good place, which where she's at, it was a place that was designed by this guy Michael, played by Ted Danson. So he's kind of in charge of making everybody's lives great. He talks about how exclusive it is, like people that you would imagine that would have made it to the good place aren't there, like Sister Teresa and a bunch of other people. Like you would think they would all be up
Yeah.
there. Not quite good enough. It's really exclusive. And she's sitting there
Did
and she's
they?
going around and he's showing her everything. And she's like, "Oh, this is great." And he introduces her to her soulmate. He shows her around this home that's built specifically to her life's experience and desires and stuff. And there's all these pictures of clowns. And it's like, because you love clowns. She's like, "Yeah, I love clowns." And they just go through this whole thing. And then when she sits down with her soulmate after this, and like they talk for a few minutes, and they're getting to know each other, and she's like, "Can you promise not to tell anybody anything if I tell you something?" And he's like, "Yeah, absolutely, I will 100% have your trust." She goes, "I'm in the wrong place, because whoever this life is that they're showing, that's not me. I'm not this person. Somebody screwed up." And now he's put in this position where he's an honestly good guy. He was a professor of ethics, and he is now not allowed to tell anybody that she's not supposed to be there. And he's trying to teach her how to be a better person, because her being there is screwing up the environment, and things that are from her mind and her guilt and stuff are affecting the place. And like it starts raining fish, and it becomes sort of apocalyptic. It starts raining junk food, large animals start running through. It's just totally bizarre. But what you see start to happen as it goes on into the episodes is, and it's becoming more apparent, I don't know that anybody is supposed to be there,
Yeah.
or that it's the good place that they think it is. And in this regard, this show sort of starts to become The Last Man on Earth to me.
Okay.
Because The Last Man on Earth, the conceit was, here's this guy, he's the last man on Earth, this is what the story is about. And then it starts to deteriorate because by the end of the first episode, we get introduced to another person. And then a couple episodes later, we get introduced to more people. So the conceit of the show kind of bleeds off a little bit as what we first believed it to be about starts to go away. The other thing is that it's about a person who's inherently not a good person. And that's what The Last Man on Earth is as well, is that the character...
But I think... I think the difference, though, is that we're slowly starting to learn that no one is really... It seems like they're really meant for the good place. But it's... I don't know. It seems like they were, though. Like... Now,
it seems like none of them are terrible, but I look at it and there's a scene in the Hitchhiker's Guide series, and I believe it's in the third book. Maybe it's the end of the second book, The Restaurant at the End of the Universe, but it's somewhere in there where Arthur Dent and Ford Prefect wind up on this spaceship. And it's full of all these people, and they're one of three ships, and all three of the ships had to evacuate the entire population of their planet because their planet is being destroyed. So the first ship is all of the big thinkers, the brains, the smart people, the rich people, like all the super successful people and everything are on that first ship. The third ship is all of the artists and all of the dreamers and the musicians and things. They're all on this other ship here. And this second ship is all the people who do the very menial things, like somebody is a telephone sanitizer. And some of them is like they're crossing guards. And they're just like, but they're all just like all together, not really great people and not really important people, not important to the arts, not important to the culture, but not important to making things and creating things with science and stuff. They're just kind of like, And so as Ford and Arthur are talking to them, they're saying, so what happened to your planet? And the captain's like, oh, well, these aliens were coming and blah, 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 blah. And someone else is like, oh, no, what I heard was the whole planet was going to explode because the core went bad. And then this other guy is like, no, what I heard was this. And it slowly dawns on Arthur and Ford, but nobody else on the ship, that all these people were basically fed a line of bullshit. And they put them on this one ship, and everybody else just stayed on the planet. And so they all think they're going somewhere to escape from, and they're all going to meet up, and everyone's like, yeah, we'll see you when we see you. And that's about it. And that's the feeling I get from the first three episodes I've seen so far of this show, is that maybe in the end, it's all a big con job, because even Michael, Ted Danson's character, who put this whole thing together and is supposed to be like the epitome, he's like the introduction to this afterlife and the good place and talking about how exclusive it is. Even he starts to go a little bit mad and crazy, and he winds up kicking a dog into the sun. And he's just like not quite altogether a great person either. And I kind of feel like that's what we're going to see as the season goes on. But so far, it's pretty funny.
No, yeah. So you have two other shows here, both of which are reboots.
Oh God!
Which reboot would you like to talk about first?
I'm gonna do this first one, and I'm gonna say that fuck you, Beatmaster, because Beatmaster basically asked in our Slack channel, in the ElseNerds Slack, which you can get to if you go to gncast.com/signup. Who's gonna watch Lethal Weapon so I don't have to? And I threw myself on that fucking grenade and watched it. Now,
thank you, Steve Rogers.
Yeah, let's just go with it. So, Lethal Weapon, obviously, a series of films from the 80s through the 90s, I think, I don't think they
Didn't
made it into
Shane
the
Black
2000s.
direct the third one or write the third one?
I don't fucking care. I enjoyed Lethal Weapon. My friends and I, we rented the first Lethal Weapon one night when we were teenagers and watched it, and it was pretty good. And then the second one, a bunch of us were old enough to go out and see it in the theater when it came out. Really, great action film, gets you hyped up. Some tragic bullshit happens with the cute blonde in it. Patsy gets it. This is back in the day when Mel Gibson was cool and probably the coolest, doing these movies and doing the Mad Max stuff and everything. And great action films. Danny Glover, fantastic. Joe Pesci was funny in the second one. The third one was a piece of shit. The fourth one was all right. They bring Chris Rock in, a little bit better, but still, the first two were great. So they're doing a TV series based around the concepts from the movie, but they're not trying to copy it completely. Like they're the same characters, but in this, Martin Riggs is not Australian. Like he basically is, because I don't know if I can't remember if Gibson was supposed to be trying to be American or not in that, but he definitely did not sound it. This guy is more of a country guy. He's trying to move his wife, I think, to Texas from where she's from. It starts out with tragedy. He is a cop. He's kind of a danger lover, but he's very good at it and everything. And his wife is about to have a baby. So he finishes off a mission. He's like, I got to go. I got to take care of myself because I've got a wife and I've got a baby on the way. On her way to the hospital to have the baby, her car gets hit by a truck, essentially, and he loses the both of them. Now, at the same time, we then meet up to Damon Wayans Sr. playing the Murtaugh role that was originally Danny Glover's, who is a cop. Instead of being ready to retire, which is where Murtaugh was, he is older, but he's recently suffered an injury on the job, has been away from recovering, is coming back in, but he's definitely a senior officer. He's more of a mind of like, I'm going to, play it a little bit safer, but it's not exactly his nature to play it safe. It's just that that's where he feels like he is in life. And so you hook the two up as partners, hilarity ensues. I'm too old for this shit. You're fucking crazy and have a death wish. It's the basic premise of the movie taken now to the show. As the first episode goes, it's not awful. It's the same. There's no surprises to it, but it's perfectly okay. They're enjoyable. Watching the people playing the parts on the screen, they're doing a good take on what is classic characters. Was it a classic duo conceit from a lot of buddy cop films? It's the buddy cop film taken into a TV series. And that's not really that different from other shows that we've enjoyed. The Almost Human that we watched and loved a couple years ago that Fox canceled because they're dicks, is a buddy cop show. It's not so far apart from this. It's just, it's safe. It's the same. It's not awful. I just don't know that it's going to warrant, like, I have to tune into this every week. But I think that obviously Damon Wayans is... Yeah, Damon Wayans is great because he's Damon Wayans. I think his son is actually more talented, even though they look exactly the same. I think that the guy playing Riggs in this, who I had seen on episodes of Leverage, actually, not much stuff other than that, he's really good on it. He's absolutely good in the role. He's got the charm. He's got a good amount of charisma. He can do the action stuff really well. He plays the sadness as well as he plays the craziness. And it's not like at the end of Lethal Weapon 1, we finish up and we see that Riggs is kind of like got a new zest for life. At the end of this episode of the pilot and everything, Riggs still wants to die, and he doesn't make a secret of it to his partner. He's not going to lie to him and say that he doesn't want to die, but he's not actively trying to kill himself. He's just not protecting himself either. but he is
Yeah.
protecting his partner. And so that's why it's not awful. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to do crazy shit. It's like, well, then I'm going to get your ass thrown off the force. It's not quite that. But there is the same shit of the captain is like, you guys blew up half the fucking city and I got to go fucking take care of this. And the, the mayor's on my ass and all that other shit. That's all cliche and it's all the same.
Yeah. All right. So my final show is
You're silencing again.
Son of a bitch.
I believe when silencing, you're supposed to say frack.
Son of a frack. Son of a fracking frack.
It's gotten a little better. It's gotten a little better.
Yeah, not, but you'll be hearing yourself. That's the problem.
I hear myself.
No, there. So it should.
Nope. Now you're back to silencing.
Oh, fuck me. All right, I'm just gonna do this.
I don't know if that's gonna do anything for your audio.
Yeah. You have to hear yourself, unfortunately. So the last show that I got,
still crackly though.
that's just my throat. All right. So let's try this one. Let's do the webcam mic. Save. That sound any better?
It sounds better, just roomy. Now, what happens if you switch back?
I don't know. Let's try. Greg, edit this stuff out.
No, you're crackly. Beat says leave and rejoin the hangout.
Let's do this real quick. This is the other thing. It's turning to the studio that might do something.
That's okay.
Did it do it?
It seems to be.
Okay. So the last show that I'm going to talk about is Kevin Can Wait. Much like people who are watching live had to wait for me to fix my microphone. This is the follow-up to The Big Bang Theory on Monday nights, with on CBS, and it stars Kevin James and Aaron Hayes, and then there's a few other people that you'll recognize. The dad from The Neighbors, that was the human neighbor. He's in here, and there was a few other people that I recognize too, but I can't think of off the top of my head. And this is honestly a show that I went in wanting to hate. Wanting to be like, oh, well, it's just, it's typical CBS sitcom-y thing.
Let's be honest. It's typical Kevin James sitcom-y.
Yeah.
There is no new ground being broken by Kevin James in this part.
Yeah, no, and for a lot of the bits that is true, but I don't hate it. I don't love the show, but I don't hate the show either. So Kevin Can Wait. It's Kevin James' character just retired from the police force. Excuse me, and he is now, basically almost like a stay-at-home dad, with his daughter. I think they just have the one kid.
No, they have 3 kids.
Then I am like missing out on 2 of them kids. Then
it starts out with 2 kids at the kitchen with them in the beginning, and then the elder daughter, who is away at college, comes home and introduces the boyfriend.
Yeah. That. See, that's where because I'm like, wait, is it just the daughter at college? Because the other ones are just background characters. It seems like.
Because there's
with the first 2 episodes. But I mean, it's. I am a great babysitter, Beat. I should let you know. But it's interesting in the fact that it's a CBS comedy. It's a Kevin James comedy. There are funny moments in there, but at the same time, it's like it's a Kevin James comedy. It's a CBS sitcom.
Yeah, I mean, it's got Gary Valentine playing his friend who played I think his brother on the King of Queens. So he certainly has his cast of favorites to bring back. The parts with him sitting around planning the retirement out with his cop friends, it was a lot of time spent on that when I didn't think any of those people were fleshed out at all or all that interesting. And it reminded me again of all the friends that he had on the King of Queens, or the friends that hang out with Ray Romano on and Everybody Loves Ray. Everybody Loves Raymond. It just feels so derivative of the shows that we've already seen happen. At the end, they do. I've only seen the pilot. At the end, they do a thing where they go and they do go-karts, and they kind of like do a go-kart ride-off against each other, and that seemed very much straight out of the interplay of the characters in Grown Ups, which I think it's also trying to follow. So Kevin James is like, hey, I know not everybody likes me. I know not everybody loves my stuff. But if you're a fan of my stuff, of the things that I've done before, you're going to like this too. It's safe for pre-established Kevin James or pre-established Adam Sandler-esque productions.
Yeah. No, yeah, it just seems safe to me, which is fine because, the Big Bang Theory, they gotta be coming close to wrapping up here soon.
We kind of hope.
Yeah. And like,
I mean, the first episode is he's retired. He's going to enjoy retirement. His wife is still working. I think she's a school nurse or something.
Yeah.
He's got the two younger kids, and then the daughter comes home from college, and then the big problem is, oh no, I'm going to introduce dad to my boyfriend. And oh shit,
fiance.
How many? Yeah, and oh, actually, we're secretly engaged. And oh, I'm gonna drop out of college to help him make his app. Oh, that's a newfound thing. Apps. Ooh, I should do a review on one. And so then they're gonna go live in the rental property garage that they were going to rent out to have extra income. And now he's gonna have to go back to work some bit. But it just seems like this is as cliche as you can get. But at the same time, that's why people watch a lot of sitcoms, is they like the familiarity. They like the simple stories. They just want to hang some jokes on it. They just want to be able to laugh for 20 minutes and just get through their fucking night before they go to bed and have to go and do their own work in the morning and raise their own fucking kids and deal with their own goddamn wife. By the way, if you're dealing with your wife and it's Erin Hayes, you have fucking made it, man, because she is awesome. And she is the one thing about the show that I'm like, I have hope that it will utilize her, because she is so funny. And everything I've ever seen her in, she's just crazy good. And I don't want to see her get wasted. But I know that while I'm not the biggest King of Queens fan, and I'm not necessarily the biggest Leah Remini fan, they utilized her really. And so I hope this show utilizes Erin Hayes much to the same degree. And I know that the elder daughter, Taylor Spritler or whatever, has been on other sitcom stuff too. She was on the one with Joey and Melissa Joan Hart. Joey and Melissa, or Melissa and Joey, whatever it was.
Melissa and Joey.
Yeah, so I mean, she's got some pedigree from TV. The boyfriend I found outright annoying, which is too bad because it's Ryan Cartwright, and he used to be on Bones, and then he went over to that series on Sci-Fi that unfortunately only lasted for 2 seasons, where they all had superpowers. Alphas, yeah. So I mean, they've got some good people. Like I said, the guys that were playing his friends, I didn't find anything compelling about them. I would like to have them used sparingly, because so far they were all just kind of like feeding him lines to make jokes on. And I would rather have people who hold their own in the show. I'd rather have more emphasis on the other 2 kids and see some young actors come up and get to build their comedy chops on here than to see four other fat dudes sitting on a couch next to Kevin James, making him look not as fat.
Yeah,
Although if that works, send them my way, because I need help. And a
yeah.
pizza.
I mean,
is this a show that
this
you are planning on tuning into every week, or is this a show that you would just put on in the background?
I'd probably more put it on, because I think what I did with this one, actually, yeah, it is what I did, is I had, because I was house sitting for my grandma, so I had it on the TV, and then on my tablet I had on the USA Live feed, and I was watching professional wrestling. So it was like I was catching both, but I was more focusing in on professional wrestling.
Which seems
than,
well suited to this. It
yeah.
seems almost like you're watching it with the guys in the show, because I could see them watching it too.
Yeah. And the other part that I'd like is that the whole show is filmed in New York. Like it's filmed in Bethpage, New York at Gold Coast Studios, in Long Island. So that's cool. They're getting out of the, oh well, let's go film it. We're gonna film a sitcom here in L.A. sort of deal. At the very least, there could be some more or some different exterior stuff. But I don't know. I didn't hate it, but if I the schedules get really packed, this will probably be the first show that I drop.
I mean, it's not an abortion of a program like I feel that Two Broke Girls is normally, or honestly, I hate to say this, the Odd Couple is just, I want to like the Odd Couple so much, and every single ounce that I've ever tried to stomach of it has just regurgitated out of me like the fucking acid that eats the computer in Superman 3. I just know that this is not bad. It's at best harmless, which is pretty much a statement of Kevin James' entire body of work. Kevin James doesn't have an attractive body of work. But it's all right. It's certainly par for the course, especially following up the 19th season or whatever they're on of The Big Bang Theory, which is a show that I do like, but at this point, I think I'm going through the motions liking it just as much as they are making it. So we know. We know what we're doing here. We're on the same page. And that page is mostly pictures and a lot of coloring outside the lines at this point.
So, Corey, you have one final show, and that is on the CBS network as well.
Oh, God. Is it, though? Is it really? Is it on a network, or is it just somebody directing to YouTube? So I wound up saying nicer things about Lethal Weapon than I probably thought I was going to. This is the reverse. This is the show that, even though I knew from the geniuses who brought us CSI Cyber, and
seriously,
I just mean the channel, and Scorpion and other shows that are just built directly on disappointment. We've got the MacGyver show, which is packed full of cliches that if they were cholesterol, you would have just basically exploded on contact. It's just... I wanted to like this. I have no opinion of the original MacGyver TV series, other than Richard Dean Anderson's glorious hair and the pretty cool theme music, and a surprisingly hilarious last season where it's like we're gonna have him go to things like meet King Arthur and shit. I don't know any of it because I didn't watch the show. I know other people watched the show at that point in time. I was not a TV viewer for much of that era because I was a teenager, and suddenly, for some reason, girls found me interesting. But I wanted this show to be at least as stomachable as Kevin Can Wait. And that's the bar that we've got right now that we're at. Now, again, in all of these cases that of the shows we're discussing tonight, we're talking about pilots. We're talking about first episodes, and a couple of them we've gotten to see more, like This Is Us or The Good Place. But in the first episode of any show, we've talked about this before, you've got to establish things, you've got to just put it out there, and it's going to be rough, but then you can build on that, and the structure for the rest of the season is what makes or breaks it. The first episode, all right, but episodes 2 through 5, that's where it's going to be, is this really worth being on my screen ever? But in this first episode, it is just a lot of the standard, not just standard like adventure movie cliches or the standard MacGyver cliches, which I think MacGruber is probably a better offshoot of MacGyver than this show is, but the standard CBS action shows cliches. Now, I love me, God damn it, I love me some Leverage, and Leverage plays loose and fancy free with the tech and the science stuff and everything. But to me, it's an enjoyable show because the characters are just so much fun, and I like the actors. My wife despises Leverage. And just like looks at me with a seething sort of like, why the fuck did I marry you? Anytime that she comes home, and I'm sitting in front of the 20th replay this month because it's on every Sunday. I don't care. I love that show. If MacGyver could achieve a level of that, that would be amazing. And that's what I'm trying so hard to talk myself into watching the second episode. It also has George Eads in it. George Eads was the last good original thing left on CSI before it went away. CSI went so far fucked up, but George Eads, like anytime he was on there, it was still like, okay, we still got Nick. Nick's a good man. I like this guy. I'll watch it for Nick. I stopped watching it. I don't like Nick that much, but I liked him. And I think with CBS doing things like they've got that new show Bull, which takes a character actor from NCIS and moves him over into a new show where he has to play something different. It's hard that first time you see someone that you register as one character play a different character. And George Eads, it's not like it's a stretch. He's just playing a more jacked up kind of ladies' man version of the character that he's already played. But he's playing second fiddle to a young guy who's the new MacGyver. But just so much of this is like, oh well, it's I'm MacGyver and I'm super cool and I've got some gadgets, and every once in a while I pull out a paperclip and make something happen with fake techno bullshit science like CSI Cyber that may be real but probably ain't. And it's the problem isn't that they make unbelievable science happen in the show. The problem is that they emphasize so much that they're teaching you something really cool when they're doing it. And it's not cool. It's not interesting because it's mostly crap. And it's the same crap that we've already seen on your other shows. So it's not even like you're fake teaching us shit that's new. It's just like, oh, God damn it. And then they lose one hacker girl, and she gets shot, and MacGyver gets shot. But then you just know as she gets shot, it's like, oh, they just shot her in the shoulder, but it's not a real shot, and she's going to come back, and she's going to be the actual bad guy. Which, fucking A, that's exactly what happens. It's just, it's the same goddamn fucking story shit. I wanted an ounce of originality. And then at the end of the episode, we get the gang sitting around having beers and being cool and like, hey, we got our new fucking foundation. We got to change the name. Let's come up. You guys get to choose a new name, right? Because you four fucking people, one of whom isn't even a part of the team, get to like hang out. Like it's on you, man. Well, why don't we call it the Phoenix Foundation? Because that's what they did in the first show. Fuck yeah! Beer me. And that's exactly like just such a half-assed attempt. And then he tells you what a phoenix is, because at this point in time in 2016, no one's ever heard what a fucking phoenix is before. But he doesn't just explain it to the viewer; he's got to explain it to the people on the show who are supposed to be semi-intelligent fucking idiots who are like, I've never heard of a phoenix. I don't know what a laptop is. Is that your dick in your hand? I can't tell. It's just such shit. And I'm just like, fucking A. And then the cops, the magic cops who are like really good at their jobs, right? No, because we're cops on a fucking show on CBS. They're fucking driving through a tunnel, and the girl that we caught bitch who was like gonna blow up the fucking city because reasons and shit, she's just in the back seat and she's got a fucking pin on her. No one thought to say, hey, this bitch who hung out with fucking MacGyver, who does this shit all the time and shows it off to everybody because that's how he gets the chicks. She just like picks her cuffs, jumps out the door, and the cops come out the other side of the tunnel like, where'd bitch go? That's the fucking show. So I didn't enjoy it. I tried really hard.
Yeah.
But it was not happening. So yeah. I can't believe I'm gonna tell you this, America. And by America I mean the 4 people. Hi Brandon, who sometimes listen to this program. Yeah. And that is,
don't watch
Lethal Weapon, the series on Fox, as opposed to watching MacGyver. I'm saying this to you, people of the world, good people of the world. You will get more out of Kevin Can Wait than you will. You will get more believable technical expertise out of him sitting there talking with his 4 dumb fuck cop friends about.
I don't know. You haven't seen the second episode.
I don't know. I don't know. But if he can work at PVR, sitting his lazy ass there, reaching for fucking peanuts, then he's better than the first episode of MacGyver was.
Yeah.